This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, fantasy, and horror show called The Twilight Zone: The Who of You. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Harry Pine auditions for a role but keeps changing the topic instead of reading his script. This pisses off the casting director, and when he complains, Harry gets enraged for a moment but reels himself back. However, the casting director orders him to reintroduce himself to the camera, driving Harry to the edge. When he gets home, Harry drinks beer, and his girlfriend, Morena, checks in on him. Harry admits the audition went badly but blames the director. When she expresses sympathy, he tells her not to pity him because he shouldn't be debasing himself for such work in the first place. Morena points out that the show is popular, but Harry insists it's horrible. Suddenly, the power goes off, so Morena checks outside and confirms that it's not a blackout. She calls the landlord, but Harry reveals that he didn't pay the power bill. Pissed, Morena scolds her boyfriend, so Harry promises that he's working on something to make their lives better. She dares him to tell her his plan so they'd be working on a solution together, but he pauses, confirming that he doesn't actually have a plan. Instead, he starts berating her for being angry at him for not having enough money. Morena clarifies that it's because he won't work on his career or their relationship. She accuses him of feeling entitled to money and people, but he calls her dramatic. This angers her further as she sees it as him gaslighting her. Morena declares that she's tired of living with someone who can't be happy with her success. Harry asks if she still loves him, but Morena just responds that they need to talk. Thinking that it's the beginning of their breakup, Harry goes to the bedroom and checks something in the drawer. Soon, he exits the bedroom carrying a bag and tells Morena that he'll pick up a check from his manager's office. In the streets, Harry walks while grasping the bag nervously. He stops by a place and opens the bag, repeatedly telling himself that he can do this. To pump himself up further, he reminds himself that he went to Juilliard before walking into the bank. Inside, he checks the place nervously and awkwardly nods at the guard. Then, he rushes to a teller named Jill, covers half his face with a scarf, and reveals a gun. Aiming it at the teller, he orders her to put money in his bag. Seeing the tense situation, the guard asks if Jill is okay, so Harry aims the gun at the man and orders him to kneel. He makes everyone else in the bank kneel while Jill keeps putting money in the bag. Turning back to her, he grabs the bag and they lock eyes. The two freeze, and suddenly, Jill is the one who tells him to give her the bag. Harry backs away in fear and drops the gun. He points to Jill and weeps, saying, "That's me." This allows the guard to tackle him. During this, Jill looks down at her hands and panics. While police arrest Harry, Jill rushes away with the bag of money still in her hands. Soon, Detective Reese arrives at the scene where the guard who tackled Harry claims that he looked like he was just about to faint, hence why he's unconscious. Upon seeing Harry's face, Reese grows quiet. Meanwhile, Harry, who's now inhabiting Jill's body, tries to exit the building when another teller named Belinda blocks him. Harry tries to get past her, but Belinda notices the bag of money and tells him he can't leave with it. At the front, Reese receives a call from his girlfriend but tells her that he'll call back. Meanwhile, Officer Luntz searches the bank's perimeter when he hears Belinda and Harry arguing. He enters and finds the two screaming at each other, with Belinda accusing Harry of stealing. Luntz tries to calm them and asks for Harry's name, but since he's in the teller's body, he doesn't recall her name. Luntz takes the bag of money, so Harry turns to push him, which leads to him leaping into Luntz's body while Jill returns to hers. Jill gets confused about what's happening, so while the two women are distracted, Harry uses Luntz's body to escape while Luntz wakes up in Harry's body. Harry nervously walks down the street, catching the attention of a few civilians. Soon, Morena receives a call from an unknown number, and when she answers, it's Harry, but his voice is different, so she hangs up. At the police station, Reese wonders why their suspect claims he isn't Harry and why Luntz isn't contacting them. Their surveillance cameras, however, showed that Luntz walked out with the money. Later, Harry hides in a bathroom while trying to get himself to talk in his voice again to convince Morena that it's him. However, he soon gets into character, amusing himself by pretending to be a real officer. Meanwhile, Reese interrogates the real Luntz in Harry's body, who's desperately trying to convince him that it's him. Reese isn't convinced, so Luntz starts describing his family and his friendship with the detective. However, Reese just thinks that he researched all these to claim insanity and avoid jail. With no choice, Luntz tells Reese that he knows his secret. At a cafe, Harry orders food but gets agitated when he spots some officers outside. Panicked, he drops the bag of money into the barista's counter and pulls the man to him, thus transferring his consciousness to the young barista's body. Just in time, the officers enter the cafe and check in on Luntz, who's confused as he's now back in his body. Now in the barista's body, Harry runs off with the bag, catching an officer's attention. He runs into a busy street with the officer on his tail but struggles to continue as his foot starts to hurt. Realizing that he can't escape in the barista's body, Harry starts checking the people around him for another body to take over until he spots a jogger named John. Quickly, he gives the bag to him and leaps into his body. Finally, the officer catches the barista and cuffs him, but the bag is already in Harry's hand, now using John's body. At the police station, Reese interrogates Jill on how they see her trying to run off with the money from the surveillance videos. Jill insists that she doesn't remember that happening, suggesting that the robber might have hypnotized her. Suddenly, Reese is called in and learns that Luntz was found in the cafe, but he insisted that he was at the station talking to him before. The officer also reports that the barista ran off with the money and handed it to someone else. Hoping to question the robber again, Reese goes into the interrogation room and finds John in Harry's body, panicking as he sees a different face from the tinted window. When he claims that he's John, Reese asks him what he remembers before finding himself in that room. John recalls jogging downtown, so Reese promises that they'll figure things out together. Back in the streets, Harry purchases a new set of clothes to change out of John's jogging attire. He comes across a psychic's shop and hurries inside when he spots a police car nearby. Upon entering, the psychic, Keith, immediately accuses him of pretending to be someone he's not. He asks Harry if he knows who he is, and he answers that he probably doesn't. Offering to help him find out, Keith offers him to sit to begin their session. Before starting, Harry asks if they have psychic-client confidentiality, but Keith laughs and tells him he's not a client until he pays. With that, Harry gets money from the bag and pays for Keith's services. Now, Keith promises that his secrets are safe with him. Finally, Harry confesses to robbing a bank because his girlfriend might leave him or might already be cheating on him. Keith asks if Marina threatened to leave him over money, but Harry remembers that it wasn't because of the money, yet he robbed the bank for her. Realizing this, Harry looks up at the skylight and notices a blue teddy bear from a window of the apartment building next door. Keith snaps him out of his trance and tells him that when people think their problem is about money, it's usually about something else. Harry starts explaining the crazier part of his day, but Keith points out that he doesn't look him in the eye. Harry says it's a bad idea because he tends to jump into their bodies when he locks eyes with someone. Keith asks whose body he's in and why he chose him, but Harry says he just needed to escape. Keith then asks where the body's original owner is, and Harry realizes that he hasn't thought of that yet. To find out, Keith suddenly moves forward and locks eyes with Harry. At the same time, Reese talks to John, assuring him that someone will pick up his daughter and send her to his parents' house. All of a sudden, John knocks over a glass of water as Keith jumps into the body. In Harry's body, Keith is amazed at how the body jumping works. Seeing Reese's confused look, Keith introduces himself. Being more open-minded about the phenomena, Reese asks where Keith was before he popped into Harry's body. However, Keith plays coy and notes that he deserves a reward for giving such information. When Reese insists on getting the information first, Keith teases the detective further. Tired of this, Reese threatens to put him in a cell, so Keith finally reveals that Harry is in his shop. As soon as he gives the information, John is thrown back into Harry's body and starts sobbing. He recounts that he was back in his body and saw the real robber in a psychic shop. Hearing this, Reese takes John while they search for Harry, calling him his human GPS. At Keith's shop, he tells Harry that a detective was questioning his body. This makes Harry panic, so he starts plotting how he'll stay in John's body and get the money to Marina. Suddenly, Keith confesses that he's a scam artist, but at least he makes people feel better, so Harry is worse than him. He scolds Harry for threatening someone's life for money, and now he's using his abilities to treat people like a husk that he can just slither in and out of. In addition, Keith questions Harry's feelings for Marina when he talks about her like she's a problem that needs solving. Keith then pushes Harry out of his shop, unwilling to be involved in his schemes anymore. Outside, Harry tries to calm himself but realizes that he's left the money inside the shop. However, Keith has locked his shop already, so Harry tries to force it open to no avail. By nighttime, Harry talks to a couple of cops, insisting that they help him retrieve his bag from inside. However, they insist that he just waits for the shop to open tomorrow to get it back. When he continues to argue, the cops question him about the bag's contents. He lies that it's just full of important documents, but the cops suddenly receive a call. When they face him again, they start questioning him about the bank robbery. Knowing they're onto him, Harry calls on a punk kid nearby and locks eyes with him. John ends up back in his body and Harry possesses the punk kid. Still, Harry calls on a young lady from across the street and jumps into her body next. Harry then calls on an old man named Martinez, who's about to enter the apartment building next to Keith's shop. While the cops arrest John, Harry, now in Martinez's body, enters the apartment and figures out which apartment he saw the blue teddy bear from. Suddenly, a neighbor checks in on him, thinking he's Martinez. Harry pretends to be the old man and asks the woman what apartment number he lives in, so she tells him that he lives next to theirs. Harry notices that her son, Miles, is holding the blue teddy bear, recalling that he could see it from the psychic shop's skylight. Believing that he can look into the shop from their apartment, he locks eyes with the woman and tries to possess her, but her glasses prevent him from doing so. Instead, he jumps into Miles' body, leading to the kid waking up in Harry's body next to Reese. The child starts crying in panic and introduces himself to Reese. As he deals with him, Reese receives a call from his girlfriend, but Miles grabs onto him, still hysterical. After he ends the call, Reese offers the kid ice cream to calm him down. Meanwhile, Harry, now in Miles' body, gets tucked into bed by his mother. As soon as the mother leaves the room, Harry goes to the window and sees through the shop's skylight. Using the kid's blankets, he climbs out the window and into the skylight but doesn't find his bag of money. While he's looking around, a bright light suddenly flashes, making him turn. Reese and the real Miles find him, and the boy confirms that it's his body. Hearing this, Reese questions Harry about how he's jumping between bodies, but he admits that he doesn't know. Tired of the odd chase, Reese orders Harry to switch back with his original body so they can take him into custody, but he refuses to go to jail. To comfort him, Reese promises that he'll probably be out in less than 5 years with good behavior. He urges him to do the right thing, so Harry approaches his body, assuring the real Miles that it's okay. Miles then kneels before him and Harry promises to return the kid to his body. However, he insists that he doesn't want his body anymore, so he turns and locks eyes with Reese, possessing him instead. In Reese's body, Harry aims a gun at the detective, demanding where the money is. Miles starts panicking, distracting Harry long enough for Reese to steal back his gun and hold him at gunpoint. He demands that he switch their bodies back, but more officers enter the scene, seeing Reese and Harry's body aiming a gun at the detective. Thinking he's the hostile suspect, they shoot. Soon, Harry finally returns to his apartment to meet with Marina using Reese's body. To his surprise, she immediately invites him inside. Confused, he slowly realizes that Marina already knows who Reese is. She pulls him into a kiss, then whispers that she's finally breaking up with Harry, confirming that Marina has been cheating on him with Reese for a long time. Despite the betrayal, Harry realizes that this is the best outcome as he still gets to be with Marina. Soon, using Reese's identity, Harry starts auditioning for roles and finds it easier to slip into character. This impresses the casting director, who now offers him the lead role in a show. Hearing this, Harry smiles as he continues the performance of a lifetime.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.